Hello, Stampers. My name is Linda Bedinger, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Denver, Colorado. And this is my buddy Puccini, who keeps me company in the craft room. And we have a very fun card for you today. It's using some of the stuff from the new catalog and some of the stuff from the old catalog. And I love the design, and I think you're going to like it. Let's just get started. Here is my card, and it is using things from several different stamp sets and dies, but you could do this with any flower and some leaves. It would be, it's a decent layout for making something that's a little bit different. And so that's the inside, and that's the outside. And I just use sending hugs. It could be happy birthday, it could be thinking of you, it could be anniversary, it could be thanks, it could be just about anything. What it takes to make this card is I used a Gorgeous Grape base, 8.5 by 5.5, scored and folded at 4 1/4, regular A2 size card. Then I have a piece of basic white that is 4 by 5 1/4 for the inside of the card. And then I have several pieces for the front. The first I have is a Pear Pizzazz piece that is 4 by 5 1/4, and that's our first layer. Then I have a piece that is 3 3/4 by 5 out of the basic white, and that's where we're going to do all of our stamping. Then I have a frame cut out here in Highland Heather, just to give a different tone and to basically have 3 colors. And I have a scrap of white to do my stamping for my extra piece that I've got on here. I've got this piece, the interior of this is 3 inches by 2 3/8, and that fits perfectly inside the frame. And then I have a piece that is 1 inch by 2 1/4 for our sentiment. And that is all of the pieces we need to make this. Now we're going to do most of our work on this piece, and I have some scratch paper here I'm going to bring in because I'm going to do some stamping, and I'm a little messy when I do this. Okay, let me tell you what stamps and die sets I'm using. I'm using the flower and some of the leaves from Eden's Garden. So this was an early release and is in the catalog that came out in January. And I'm using Sending Hugs, I'm using this flower, and I'm using this leaf. The dies are from Fabulous Frames, and it's this die right here that I'm using to make the frame here. And let's see, what else am I using? Oh, there's just one other thing from, oh, and this has been around forever. Forever Fern. I did use these leaves to create the leaves, and I'll show you some earlier versions that I did of this that it took me all afternoon or most of the day to keep trying different things until I was happy with the end result. But I like these leaves because they matched a little bit the leaves that are in this stamp. So those are the pieces that I used. So on our piece here, my inks that I used were Gorgeous Grape and Pear Pizzazz. And I'm going to start with the Pear Pizzazz and the leaves. And I have my leaves from Forever Fern here, these leaves. And I'm going to go ahead and ink those up and get them. This piece is in the middle, hides all kinds of stems and things, so we really don't have to worry much about that. So I'm going to stamp my leaves there, and maybe another bunch of them going that way. Then I've got some of these leaves coming down in this corner here. And then I've got, let's see, some leaves coming down here. And just for good measure, we'll put a little bunch of them going this way. All right. Then I'm going to take these leaves that have more of a feathery look and just kind of put those in a couple of places here with some of these other leaves, just because I think they add some variety to what we're looking at. And so I'll put some down here, and probably some over there, and maybe a bunch right here, and some like that. Now, you see what I did? I stamped fast, and I got the bottom leaves darker, and then the light ones too light. And so this is a blender pen. Just make sure that I don't have any ink on it, and I can use that to fill in those that were stamped a little bit light, and look what happens. They just fill in nicely, and nobody could tell that that was misstamped in any way. So any that you're not happy with, you can just kind of blend out a bit with a blender pen. Blender pens are magic. They're wonderful. Okay, so there's my leaves in the background. Now then, I'm going to set that aside and bring on my Gorgeous Grape ink here. And I'm going to stamp my splatters while I have plenty of room. And this splatters also came from Forever Fern. It's a really nice one. And I wanted to get some of that purple detail around on the card a little bit, and in some of these places that are a little bit more empty. And we can put them around on the card. You can even do some in the leaves and get some splatters put around. In fact, maybe I'll put some up there. There we go. And maybe a bunch in there. Okay, there we go. So there's all my splatters. Now this piece is going to fit over here. So it's going to take out, there's a little misstamp there, but we won't be able to see it because of where the frame is going to go. All right, so the next piece that we're going to work on is this little piece, which is the medallion that fits in the frame. All right, so here we need the Gorgeous Grape ink and this beautiful ethereal looking flower. I want that good and inked up. And I'm going to go ahead and put it right down here in this corner. And I'll let that sink in a bit. I hadn't used these colors at all since before Christmas, so I took them out and decided I was just going to make something with them. And then here's an opportunity with the blender pen also to fill in some of those little purple dots. I didn't like how they looked a little hollow, and you can darken some of these round berries as well. And I thought that added a little bit to the look of this. Now you could put in a vein if you wanted to in some of these leaves. You could add some other detail on them, and or shade one side of them. And your blender pen is a wonderful tool for doing just that kind of thing, to add a little bit of detail and make your project just a little bit different. So there we go. Now, the thing that I have done ahead of time is that I did cut out a mask. I stamped this flower on a Post-it note, and then I fussy cut around it because I wanted to be able to add some leaves here, but I want to make them look like they're coming from behind the flower. So if you just make that kind of a mask, you can, let's see if I can figure out where this is. I've stamped over it so many times I'm not sure I know anymore, but I think it goes like this. There we go. And you can pull that back just, a hair from the actual pattern there. So I've pulled it back and away. Now I'm going to move that out of the way because I had more than once dipped my leaves into the purple instead of the green today. And I'm going to add some of this leaf detail. Let me get another piece of scratch paper here so that I don't accidentally put a stem down there at the bottom. But I now can stamp those leaves right in through here and maybe put some along there. And I cut this almost all the way around so that I could, in fact, put some leaves down here as well. And I see that's not the right mask because I cut a leaf. There it is. So this is the leaf here. I mean the flowers. So I'll put this one in place so that it covers all of them down here. And put this across here. And then go ahead and stamp my leaves down here again. One time. And there we go. It looks like I didn't completely stamp those leaves in there. Let's see if I can. I'm not going to try and fix that. I'm just going to over stamp some leaves. And there we go. All right. So I take off my thing here, and I think I wanted to, let me put this back in place here. Like that. And then I wanted to overstamp just a few of these other leaves just so that they would match what's going on elsewhere in the card. And those I'm going to put right down here. And maybe some right off into here. And a couple up there, just so that we have both kinds of leaves represented on this little piece. All right, and all you do is stamp this like on a piece of Post-it note paper, and then you can just fussy cut around the end of it, and I like to leave some of the sticky part on there so I can either hang on to it or I can lay it down and let it grab the card. So there we go. There's our piece all done. And so now the other thing I need to do is stamp on my piece of scrap this flower so that I have something down here. So I need my Gorgeous Grape ink and my flower again. And I'm just going to stamp this right down here. And let that hold on a second so that ink sinks in. There we go. And then this one, there is no die for this one in the dies for the Eden dies. Now, if you didn't want to fussy cut out another flower, what you could do is die cut out this little piece here, a couple of these out of the Pear Pizzazz, and just add some leaf detail down here if you didn't want to fussy cut this out. I kind of like the fussy cut out part, so I'm going to go off camera and fussy cut this piece out, and I will be right back. Okay, so I'm back and I have fussy cut out my flower, and I have my frame already cut out. So I'm ready, I think, to start putting this together. And I've got the piece I just stamped. So what I'm going to do is center this little frame on here, and I'm going to put that in place with some dot runner, because some of this is pretty narrow, and I can just go ahead and put that in place. And I went ahead and die cut a couple of those leaves that we talked about earlier. There's the die from that Eden's Garden, and it cuts out this pretty little sprig of leaves, so I thought we could mess with that a little bit and just see what it looks like. So if I just eyeball this top to bottom, side to side, looks like it needs to come this way just a little bit. I think that's pretty good. So it's about the same top to bottom and side to side. Now then, I have the piece that we stamped here, and that is going to go up on dimensionals. Okay, now this piece fits right inside this frame. So I'm going to sort of dry fit it here in one corner, and that should lay down and be perfect. And the very least that happens is that underneath here there's some of the splatters and some of the leaves, so if somebody takes a peek under there or sees a little piece of it, it looks just fine. So there is our piece. Now then, this is what it would look like on the end of this frame if you put just a couple of these leaves. I'm going to say 3 only because things in 3 seem to work a little bit better. And so if you were to do 3 of those down here, I think that would be awfully pretty as well. But I'm going to go ahead and put my flower in here, right down here, and I'm going to put glue on the top of here and a couple of dimensionals along the bottom. Okay, so this can now go in place right down here. It can hang over a little bit on this because we still have 2 layers to add here. So I am going to move it down just a hair. And then I thought might be kind of interesting to put a few of these flowers in there. So if we do that, then I will add a little bit of snail to this and tuck a couple of those those leaves in here, maybe one there and one up here. I think that's kind of nice, actually. And I cut a bunch of these flowers, so I've got plenty. Gonna slide this one right underneath here. There we go, like that. All right, so I've got these flowers left over for my next card. Wonder what it would look like to have some dimensional leaves coming off onto the center here. So I'm going to slice off this bottom set of leaves, and I'm just going to tuck that in there so we just have a tiny bit of greenery, and I think that will add to the dimensional look here. There we go. Isn't that pretty? My goodness, it's such a pretty little card. Okay, next, this piece is now ready to go on my Pear Pizzazz piece. Might have done that before I put all of that dimension on there, but it'll work. So I'm just going to add some snail. Should be using seal. Right in here, like this. And then this whole piece is ready to go on the front of my card. So some of you will notice that the rhinestones that I put on this card are purple gems, and they were just in my stash, didn't even think about it, clear back from we had the Noble Peacock. So I found we have some purple gems now in the new catalog, which you could add, but on this one I think I'm just going to do regular rhinestones. I didn't even realize it when I did this, although the purple's awful pretty. All right, so there we go. Now we have left to do the inside and the sentiment. So I'm going to grab my piece for the inside, which is this one, and I'm going to put my flower down here at the bottom, stamped off the edge, so there's just a little bit of it showing here at the bottom of the inside of the card. There we go. And then I'm going to use my mask again to put this in place so that I can stamp a few of the leaves. Now I'm going to put my leaves here on the bottom, maybe a couple sticking out over here, and some, oops, my mask moved, that's no good. And so maybe a few here. Oh dear, I stuck it in the purple. Doggone it. Well, that's why it has two sides, I guess. We'll try that again. See if I can put green ink on it this time. Put my mask back in place right here and put a few green leaves here, maybe some there. I did it again. Son of a gun. All right. I need to just move that purple ink pad out of the way and bring the green one back in. And you do like I say, not like I do. And so I'm going to add a few green leaves over on this side. There. And then I added a couple of pretty green leaves just right up here coming down from this corner. There we go. And so that is the decoration for our inside, the inside of our card. All right. And with this, I'm going to grab that splatter stamp and add a little bit of purple splatter here on the inside of the card. Just like that. Just a little touch. All right. Now we're back to our sentiment. And so my sentiment says, sending hugs. And I did have to trim around this one because I kept getting edges. So I just did a little surgery and took off the edges of that so it wouldn't catch. And I'm going to do this in the Gorgeous Grape, right in the center of this little tag. There we go. And then I'm going to do this green, this greenery here, and I'm going to green that up, and then I'm going to stamp off, and then I'm going to put a faint bunch of leaves there, and then I'm going to do it again, and I'm going to put some coming in this way. Oop, got a little bit more than I intended to, but that's fine. And then I'm just going to add a little bit of the splatter here, and I'm not even going to re-ink. I'm just going to add that there. And then I have a dauber for my purple ink, and I'm just going to go around the edges of this so the white isn't so stark, and we pick up that beautiful purple again. So there we go. and I am going to put a big dimensional on one end and a little bit of dot runner on the other. And again, this one is 1 inch by, let me get this on here, by 2 3/8. Okay, so this is now going to go on our card. Right up here. And I think I'm going to come almost to the whole top edge of the thing and right over to the edge of the white on this side. And just a sliver of a margin there. And that way, I think having this up here balances this down on this side. Okay, there we go. Now we have left to just add our piece to the inside and we'll be all ready to go. So I'll add some seal to this and we'll put that right here on the inside of our card and we're all done. Just about all finished. Now I've got my bling to add and I decided to do rhinestones this time instead of retired bling. So I've got a little page here of some of my rhinestones. That is my project for the day. Thank you so much for stopping by my YouTube channel today. I do so appreciate it. And I do think I like this with the green leaves. And if you don't already have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, well, I'd love to be your demonstrator. Or you could join my team. There's a couple weeks left through the end of February on this magnificent join offer, which is $175 worth of product for $99. And then if you spend another $30, so $129, you get the small cut and emboss machine in the blue or the white, your choice. See, I have a $60 prize draw every month, and all you have to do to put yourself in the drawing is to place an order of any size on my store, lbedinger.stampinup.net, and you can get to it through my blog, www.ink and Ingenuity, and all of the measurements and pieces and material will be up on my blog on this one in a couple of days. So thanks again for stopping by, and I will be back with more cards, more projects, and more tips.